hurricane. Now I'll bring up the police chief, Mayor O'Connor.
Thank you, Chief Tripp, Mayor Castor. Good afternoon, everybody. Just a couple of things. I just want to reiterate what has already been said, that we are not out of the woods. We are going to see some significant flooding in the Tampa Bay area. As far as vehicles are concerned, I really strongly recommend that our residents try not to take your vehicles out and venture out. We need our officers and our first responders being available and ready to assist our residents in time of crisis and not get stuck in water. It only takes 6 inches of water to reach the bottom of most vehicles. So if you are driving around in 6 inches of water or more, you may get stuck, and then we may have to come and help you out. Our shelters are still open. There are numerous shelters located throughout Hillsborough County. Tampa PD has been actively shuttling numerous homeless individuals to shelters this morning. Shelters are still open, but residents are encouraged at some point, once the wind speeds do reach higher gusts, as we are expecting they will at some point today, to just stay in shelter in place. Last thing I just want to mention, as I talked about yesterday with the enhanced property crime penalties, in the event you are charged with a burglary or a theft, if it's a second-degree felony, it'll be increased to a first degree. If it's a third-degree felony, it'll be increased to a second. Tampa PD did make 2 arrests last night. We responded to the IKEA off of Adamo Drive to an alarm call, and we did locate 2 individuals in the parking lot that were loitering in the parking lot. They had numerous burglary tools in their possession, walkie-talkies, flashlights. It appeared they were definitely planning on doing something at the IKEA. They were charged accordingly. So I just want to reiterate that, property crimes are serious. Do not even think of preying on the vulnerability of our residents that may have evacuated. Tampa PD is here, ready and willing to assist if anybody needs it. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? All good? All right. Thank you all. Much appreciated.
Tampa, but the fire chief, police chief, and of course Mayor Castor there holding down the fort and saying what we've been reiterating is that it may seem like good news in Tampa right now and all calm and water being sucked out of the Hillsborough River, which is completely the antithesis of what we initially thought would be the case, but not out of the woods. Things are gonna deteriorate throughout the day, and so heed the warnings there. Stay home if you can. Stay off the roads, as you just heard them say. Those roadways are for our first responders right now. As long as they can get out, as long as those wind gusts allow them to get out, they want to be able to respond to people in need. And again, just 6 inches of water on the roadway is all it takes.
Much. Yeah, and she also said this: unprecedented flooding. That is what she is expecting. Something that's disappointing. We both shook our heads, right? As if it's not enough to watch out for this storm. Watch what's ahead of you, and you got to watch your back.
Yeah.
They made some arrests, and they're not playing around with this stuff right here.
Right. 2 people outside of IKEA, she was saying, loitering with burglary tools at the time. So just going to update those charges. Not the time to mess around. It sounds like, say that again, McDill.
Look at the cloud right there, Caitlin.
Unbelievable, yeah. Successfully evacuated everyone from the base. With that said, everyone will feel the effects of this storm. Just reiterating that again, what your officials just said out of Tampa, although you may still face high winds and rain, most of the destruction is caused by the storm surge. We've been saying that as well. Our meteorologists have been saying that as well. Want to stay off those roadways and be advised this water is nothing to contend with. Certainly can be a complete disaster out there. Grant is monitoring our conditions. And Grant, what are you tracking right now? What area are you focused on?
Guys, we're just getting information here that it sounds like we've just got a tornado warning that just came down. So stand by for 1 second. Let me pull this up. And it looks like the tornado warning is going to be for Hardee, DeSoto, and Highlands County. So this just in. Let me come over so I can show it to you now. Tyler's going to run the radar for me. So tornado warning just coming down for, DeSoto, Hardee, and Highlands County until 12:15. So it is 11:40 right now. We'll watch this all the way through. We'll see how long it stands. But tornado warning. So the cell that likely has this tornado, or at least the threat for a tornado, is just moving west of Lake Placid. All right. So it's right there through Western Highlands County, moving into Hardy and DeSoto. Tyler, let's go right down there. Let's go to street level, and let's give people an idea of where this potential tornado could be. We're looking at this couplet here. Red hues are winds that are moving away from the radar. Green hues are winds that are moving towards the radar. So right in this area right there, that's right where we have that threat. It's a tiny little couplet. This isn't like those big EF3, EF4s. I know we're thinking grand here and big scale because of this is a massive hurricane, but typically with hurricanes, they produce these tiny little small quick spin up tornadoes. They can still produce EF1, EF2 damage, but still they're relatively short lived. They come down with some ferocity and they come right back up pretty quickly as well. So a relatively low populated area, but certainly still, look, we got to let everybody know about this threat of this potential tornado. So moving to the northwest, I'm going to guess it's probably moving somewhere around 30 to 35 miles per hour. Chris, do we have any specs on the movement speed of this cell within northwest at 45? Let's get a tracker on this here. So northwest at 45 miles per hour within this band. All right. So this is a tornado, a threat of a tornado embedded within a larger band of Hurricane Ian. The band itself is producing wind gusts up there to 40 to 60 miles per hour. This potential tornado within that band is moving by itself around 45 miles per hour. And we're looking at some ETAs at Sweetwater Church. If you're familiar with the Sweetwater Church area there, just south of the Zolfo Elementary as well. Zolfo Elementary probably looking at arriving around 12:04. And then Zolfo Springs around 12:05. So just some ETAs. It's time. Anytime these bands are coming through, probably a good idea to get into your safe place, right? And then with this tornado warning specifically in this area of Western Highlands County into southeastern Hardy County and northeastern DeSoto County, want to make sure you get into your safe place. Now, looking at the different, the relative vorticity compared with just the velocity there, we've got, it's really hard to pick out there. Maybe a little bit of that couplet right there, kind of looking at the general spin that might be in that area. It's really not well defined at all, but it's enough to where we could get a quick spin up with this, tracking up to the north and west a little bit. Let's try to zoom out just a little bit, Tyler, get a little bit better perspective for where we're working with. There's Wauchula, just north of 17 South there. And this is the area that we could see that tornado. It's now moving into southern Hardy County right now. And again, this tornado warning is going to extend all the way up into the Wauchula area, where we expect the threat to likely dissipate by around 12:15 or so. Again, this is all part of the larger rain band associated with Hurricane Ian that's beginning to move ashore over southwestern Florida as we speak. If we zoom out a bit, there we go. That's fine. We'll show the tornado watch. And this is right in that watch area of the tornado. And again, this is all still in that front right quadrant, right? We talk about that front right quadrant for being that area for the greatest risk, for the strongest winds, that tornado threat, the greatest surge threat as well. And it's actually relatively ironic. We were just saying we haven't seen a lot of these tornado warnings yet today. And then almost as soon as you mention it, they start sparking up. But even outside of this tornado warning, guys, anywhere within here, we could still see the potential for some damaging winds here. We've seen wind gusts. We've measured wind gusts in Sarasota, even up in the St. Pete, with wind gusts between 50 to 60 miles per hour plus. But this, at least for our area, the first tornado warning that we've seen for the day. And this whole band right here, this is likely going to continue to pivot itself, right? So it's going to continue to spin and ride along that general periphery. So it'll likely continue into northwestern Hardy County. Duet, you very well could be in line, maybe not necessarily the tornado threat, but that same band that may be producing that tornado right now. So it'll also continue up to the north and west, and then ultimately start to move into the immediate Tampa Bay area. Tyler, I need to grab a quick drink of water here real quick, and I'll come over there and I'll man the radar and let you take over.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things you got to watch carefully, right? Because things change quickly. It pops up quickly and it could move out quickly.
And like you've mentioned multiple times today, with a lot of these tornado warnings, they're pretty short-lived. Once as you see on the radar a little bit of rotation, the dynamics change really quickly, and then it fizzles out. So we're just watching a couple of these stronger storms. I want you to notice on the radar, this is really the only area that you're seeing a little bit of that red showing up on the radar. So that's indicative of a storm that's a little bit stronger than the rest. It's got a little bit heavier rainfall. It might have some stronger updrafts. And sometimes when you get stronger updrafts, you can get a little bit of that rotation that's near the surface just because you have such a strong wind field that's already rotating. You can get some of that rotation into the updraft here. And that's why you're seeing that we do have the tornado warning there, because there is just enough rotation on the radar. This is not a confirmed tornado. It's just radar indicated saying, hey, there's the potential there for just a little bit of rotation to produce a minor tornado, hopefully at least a minor tornado if there is one there. They tend to be on the weaker side when you're dealing with tropical storms, but again, we're just going to watch this carefully. It does have a longer lifespan. We're talking about 30 minutes or so since it was issued. That will expire at 12:15. So again, this is hugging right along the line right there of Hardee and DeSoto County. You can see it right there along the lines. Yes, thanks, Grant, for zooming in there. You can see some of the highways here. You got Highway 66 right here for reference. There again is Wauchula. You're going to see the chance for this to try to push up into the Wauchula area, although I do think kind of right here is where we're looking at that center of circulation right in here. Right in those reds is where we'll likely see a little bit just to the south of Cruiseville there along Highway 66. Not a lot of towns right in this area, which is the good news, right? We love to see tornado warnings in areas where maybe there's just some forest or some wetlands. But unfortunately, this is moving to an area off towards Moffett and Wauchula that eventually could be dealing with some of this rotation, because it does look like it could hold together a little bit more as it lifts off to the north and west there. And we look at some of the rotation. There's just not a strong couplet, but the radar site is all the way back over into Tampa. And so when we talk about where this is, here you can see right here is where the radar site is, just near the Tampa Bay area. So it's shooting all the way out to the radar site here. And that's why, when we look at the distance that we're heading here, about 50 miles or so, it gets higher up in elevation. There's a slight scan level with the radar. So as it goes higher up and further out, you're looking higher up. So sometimes you can overshoot where some of that low level rotation is, but there is just enough right in here to indicate the potential for the possibility for a weak tornado to spin up in that area. So again, if we're looking a little bit closer to home, you can see this is not including the Sebring or Lake Placid area. We're looking just to the south of Cruiseville right there. There is that polygon right there. So if you live in this area, obviously you're already hunkered down for the day, but maybe put a couple extra walls in between you and the outside. Maybe you're just relaxing in your living room. Turn your volume up on the TV if you live in this area, and maybe head towards the bathroom. Interior room's not a bad idea to bring a blanket, maybe some pillows just to keep yourself safe, because this is a tornado warning and we do want to take that seriously, right? You already got gusty winds close to 50 to 60 miles per hour outside. You don't want a tornado that has winds close to 90 to maybe 100 miles per hour to produce more damage, and you're not prepared for it. So we have this lead time for this tornado warning. So if you live towards Wauchula, again, closer towards Highway 17, a good idea, right? Just take the precautions like you took the precautions for this system, Hurricane Ian. Do the same precautions for this tornado warning that we have out there that, again, continues for about 25 minutes more or so, and then it will eventually expire at that point, hopefully, as long as the rotation starts to fall apart. But you can see, again, some of those reds right in here. That's where some of that rotation would be as it's starting to enter the Wauchula area there. So we're going to continue to track this off to the north and west. You can see if it does hold together, I do think, like Grant mentioned, it's going to pivot a little bit more. So it could be looking closer towards the Manatee and Hillsborough County line here if it eventually does hold together towards Duet. And then maybe if it pinwheels in, we could be looking at some of that rotation getting into some more densely populated areas towards parts of Hillsborough and Manatee County there. But as of right now, that rotation is going to continue to progress further and further off to the northwest. You can see this band kind of extends all the way from over here towards Bradenton, Sarasota, and then tracks all the way off to the east. Anywhere in there, you could see some of that rotation. If you think about where the center of the storm is, kind of down to the south, this area over here is in that right front quadrant. So here's the center of the storm right here. So if you shoot a line kind of up in here, because it's dependent on the storm motion. So the storm motion is a little bit off to the east. So we'll put a line, say, like right around here. and then a line that cuts through the storm through the middle. And you're talking about this general area in here for the potential for that isolated tornado threat. So here we go. Here's the front quadrant. As the center of the storm passes off through our area, really, but passes towards places like Polk County, to the right of that is where the greatest chance is for an isolated tornado. That's due to the rotation of the storm and the friction that we have at the surface. You can get some rotation that starts to get going. Again, it gets sucked in the updraft of some of those stronger storms, and that's when you can see that isolated tornado threat. So again, center is going to work right along this line. Anywhere on the north and east side of that line, you're going to see the chance for that isolated tornado. And we've been expecting to see a couple of these. They've been mainly down towards South Florida. I think so far there was reports of 10 tornadoes, mainly earlier this morning with some of those outer rain bands towards places like the Miami metro area and Broward County, those locations. Here's some of those storm reports from earlier towards West Palm Beach, all the way down towards parts of the Everglades too. But again, really hugging mainly only over towards the eastern side of the state. The western side, we really haven't seen that many tornado reports. It's been more wind gust reports, more in the tropical storm strength so far until that eye wall approaches. But we will still keep an eye on that tornado warning as still ongoing right now. So we're going to look, and Grant, maybe again, if we can look at some of the rotation, see how it's looking down there.
Zooming in here, and I'll switch over to the velocity to try to see what that spin is. Looking at it, it doesn't look like it's necessarily weakening. There's a little bit of still that possible rotation, right? There's a couple of spots.
Yeah, I was going to mention there's one right here, and then there's kind of the original area that we're working in here, maybe a small one right over there. So step in here, Grant.
Yeah.
Go ahead and point a couple of those out.
Well, I mean, this one right here, this is the second one. So this is kind of redeveloping another area of spin right there, and sort of a dissipating area where we still might see some rotation back off towards the east. But I mean, overall, this whole area is going to be sort of with the potential for that little spin. But this one, honestly, Tyler, I don't know what you think, but this one looks a little bit more impressive than even the initial couplet that we were looking at that actually spawned the tornado warning in the first place. So this one is sort of dying down right now. It's a little bit there. It might be there, like you were mentioning, maybe overshooting maybe that lower level circulation with that brief tornado. But here we go. I mean, it's starting to develop. We'll wait for the next scan to see if it comes through. Same area, western Highlands County, southern Hardee County, northeastern DeSoto County. A tornado warning in effect until 12:15. So you've prepped for this. You've been getting ready for the approach of the hurricane. Well, now we've got a tornado warning in effect for your area, and it's time to get inside and get to that safe place, right? And make sure you stay there until this threat has cleared back out. New scan comes in. It's not textbook by any means, but you're still within these rain bands. You get some funky stuff going on. You get some weird developments. You get some weird spin. But this is the area right there. Look at that. I mean, you can kind of see the more almost like reddish hues starting to push away. The wind speeds are moving away, and then those green hues are the wind speeds that are moving toward that radar site, which is actually way over in Ruskin, right? It was that like 50 miles away. Big picture here showing you what we're working with. So we're showing you the velocity mode, what the radar is doing here. The radar is sending out its signal, and it's waiting for there to be an echo, if you will. And it hits that rain droplet, and the radar pulse comes back to the radar site. So depending on the time that it takes to get back to the radar site for it to hear it, if you will, that helps determine how quickly that raindrop is moving. How fast is the wind making that raindrop move? And that's ultimately, in a matter of so many respects, how the radar is able to tell what direction at what speed the rain is moving. So this is showing you the reflectivity or the rain there, not necessarily the wind speeds, but you can still generally see the motion of that cell embedded within this rain band. This is one of the rain bands associated with Ian, moving up to the northwest. Now, this actual cell itself, or these cells, because now we're looking at two areas that might have that spin to produce that tornado, is moving about 45 miles per hour. And then within that, we're also finding some of those wind gusts up around 60 miles per hour as well. And this is a loop over just the last, I think, is it just the last hour that we were looping there? I mean, that's 1 hour, all that rain moving around in that area. So a really fast moving system right there. As with any tornado warning, there's no difference here than just because it's a tropical tornado warning. You get to your safe place. You got a tornado warning in effect for your area. You need to make sure you get to that safe place. Just ride it out. Just hang out, ride it out. Turn up the TV. If you're watching us on TV, just turn up the volume a little bit. Click, 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 click. Let it go up. You can hear us. We'll let you know when it's time to clear out, when that tornado warning is finished. And then you'll be able to go back and just keep watching the storm with us. But the most important thing is that you stay safe. You don't want to be near any windows. You don't want to be near any of those outside walls. If some of those tornadic winds start blowing stuff into your house, you don't want to be near that wall, closer to where some of that danger is actually located.
You can kind of see this in here.
Yeah, you're definitely right. You got that little bit of a hooking, and then down on the southern side of it, potentially that wind that's rotating up into that tornado right there. You're right about that. What's the velocity show with that? Is that signature? Yeah, maybe right in there a little bit. I mean, that was the area that we were just watching in Highlands, but the radar signature suggesting maybe somewhere in maybe this right here. Yeah, that might be a little bit of that hook that's starting to develop on that reflectivity that might be producing that tornado. And that looks like that's the same scan from before. So this is just south of Cruzville. Let's zoom down a little bit, see if we can find some more streets to try to point out exactly where this is. A relatively unpopulated area. It looks like we're not going to get much, but this is just south of 66 right now. And this is in southeastern Hardy County. Again, tornado warning in effect for DeSoto, Hardy, and Highlands County.
Let me put another tracker on it, Grant. And
okay.
See if we can.
Yeah, we'll be able to put the storm tracker on. And the great thing about the storm tracker is we're able to take the current location of the danger and then estimate where it will be into the future. So going out about the next 20 minutes or so, this area, which really hasn't shown much signs of dissipation, if anything, it's been strengthening a little bit. It'll be in the Sweetwater Church area by around 12:03, Zolfo Elementary School around 12:14, and looking like Zolfo Springs itself around 12:15 or so, maybe a little bit sooner than that. But the Florida Hospital in Wauchula, hopefully by that point we can get this thing to dissipate. It won't be a threat to the hospital, but by around 12:18, we could see this area of potential tornado. There's nothing confirmed at this point. We call this a radar indicated tornado, but this is one of those things where we try to stay ahead of it, right? We've been talking about this all morning, from preparing, from evacuating, always trying to stay one step ahead of Ian. And in this case, this is what the warning is for, to try to stay one step ahead of this tornadic threat as it moves now across southern Hardy County, moving to the north.
All right, guys, sorry about that. Oh man, sorry about that, guys. If you're still here, it says 23 people here. Shout out to all you guys. My bad. I was having a conversation and it took longer, but hey, it's just news. So if anyone's in the Florida area, please, be safe. Be safe. Damn, I've been going for 25 minutes of no talking, but maybe I should stop it and redo it. Yeah, I'm gonna stop this stream and I'm gonna come right back. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna stop it and come right back.